So even as an adult, I still eat a fair amount of chocolate around Easter. And I thought that I would try to make two really popular flavors of chocolate eggs. So we have this one here, which is a peanut butter filled egg. I added my own little twist to it by adding some crunch to it, which you'll see. And this one here is a caramel filled egg. So I really like this recipe for a couple reasons. And the first one is that it's deceivingly simple to make these fillings. They taste much better than the store-bought ones. And the second reason is that the fillings are completely shelf stable, meaning that you can keep them at room temperature, you can make them ahead of time, and then when you're ready to gift them or make your Easter baskets, you can just package them up in cute little egg cartons like I did. All right, let's move you over to the counter from my little show-off area in the corner. These are the molds that I used. This was an 8-cavity mold that I cut into individual cavities. I just find that it's easier to manipulate that way. If you can work with an intact mold, by all means you can leave it that way. There are different kinds of egg molds that are available right now. You don't have to use this one. The technique's gonna be completely the same. And I will list a couple suggestions in the description box below. I just got these off of Amazon. So the idea was that I was gonna take 2 halves and put them together to make an intact egg. With this mold, however, I feel like the manufacturer really didn't anticipate us putting 2 halves together, because what happens, and I have some examples here, unless you were to shave off some of that bottom region, it's not really an egg shape. Like you can kind of see, it's more of like an flattened raindrop ovoid shape. So yeah, not really egg, which is why I made the flat back, and it still ended up looking really nice. If you have another type of mold where you can actually sandwich the 2 halves together, I imagine the technique is going to be, or what I thought I was going to end up doing was similar to a hot chocolate bomb technique, where you melt the edges of one and then put the 2 halves together. They're not going to be filled with marshmallow and cocoa powder, of course, but filling, and the result should be something similar to an intact egg, unlike this one. But yeah, let's go over, grab some ingredients, and get started. Let's start with the caramel filling. So making any kind of caramel is all about technique, because the ingredients are actually quite simple. So just take some lemon juice and rub it into your granulated sugar. The acid in the lemon juice prevents crystallization, which would actually require you to start all over. Then turn your heat on medium and, stirring the entire time, melt all of your sugar. You don't need a thermometer, but just cook this until you like the color, and the darker you go, the more bitter your caramel will be. I went for a dark honey color, and my resulting caramel wasn't bitter at all. Turn your heat to low and then slowly pour in your heavy cream while stirring. The cream does have to be warm, so I just placed mine in the microwave for about 20 seconds. Now, because of the extreme temperature difference between the heavy cream and melted sugar, you will experience some bubbling, which is just water evaporating from the heavy cream. This is totally normal. Just be careful and slowly add in your cream while stirring the entire time. Once your heavy cream is completely mixed in like you see here, remove it from the heat and then add your butter. Salty caramel, wait till this cools down completely and then add a generous pinch of kosher salt. That gives you those crunchy little bits of salt in the sweet caramel. Which brings me to my next point, which is you have to let this cool completely before using. If we tried to pipe this inside a chocolate shell, it would completely destroy it. So you can see this registers about 180 degrees Fahrenheit. We want it completely cool to the touch before we pipe it. Okay, now let's talk about the peanut butter filling of your dreams, or my dreams, because I've always wanted to make a peanut butter filling that has a crispy texture to it, and I figured it out. So to a large microwave safe bowl, add some white chocolate. You can use chocolate chips, you can use the same compound chocolate, doesn't matter, we don't care about tempering, along with some peanut butter, unsalted butter, and honey. Add a pinch of salt if you like salty peanut butter, and then microwave this on high power for about 30 seconds. Give it a good stir and then microwave it for another 5 to 10 seconds until all the chocolate has melted and it looks like this. Then pour in your Rice Krispies and stir until everything is combined. And good luck trying not to eat this before you have to use it in your eggs. When you're ready to make your shells, you're going to need 8 ounces of compound chocolate per 8 eggs. And I'm going to only do 8 at a time because I only have 1 mold. And for each set of eggs, I split the chocolate up into 2 bowls so that I can make 2 colors of the same filling. And because I cut my molds into individual pieces, I needed something to stabilize each mold while I poured the chocolate in. So this is just a container from one of my kids' lunch boxes. Then just pour in chocolate until the mold is halfway full. Slowly rotate the mold until the chocolate completely covers that interior surface. Once everything is covered, invert your mold over the bowl of chocolate, gently tapping to remove any of the excess chocolate, and then use a flat knife or spatula to scrape it clean. First, place it upright on a piece of parchment paper, and depending on the ambient temperature of your kitchen, which in mine was pretty cold that day, I only had to leave it upright for about a minute before I inverted them and let them dry completely that way. In fact, in addition to my kitchen being really cold, the chocolate was pretty thin, so I didn't even need to put these in the fridge to firm up, but feel free to do that if your chocolate needs some extra firming up. So in addition to the fillings for these eggs being pretty firm, as well as how easy it is to remove these eggs from the mold, the second coat is really optional. However, if this is your first time making something like this, I highly always suggest doing a second coat because that just gives you a little bit of extra insurance when you do remove them. But if you want a thinner coat of chocolate with your fillings, feel free to test out just one coat of chocolate. Okay, so to fill the caramel eggs, once your caramel filling has completely cooled, pour it into a large piping bag, or you can use a zip top bag so that you can pipe it. Carefully pipe your caramel filling into the bottom of your eggs. Well, it's actually going to be the top, but you can fill it with however much caramel that you like. I did about a heaping tablespoon, but if you wanted to make this a completely 100% caramel egg, you just want to leave a little gap at the top so that you can backfill and close the chocolate. Now, if you like, you can spoon about a tablespoon of cookie crumbs on top of the caramel filling. And what I have here is about 5 or 6 Biscoff cookies that I attacked with a rolling pin in a Ziploc bag. But you could use shortbread, you could use Oreos, any kind of dry cookie would work. Then to close off your egg, remelt your chocolate until it's really fluid and then pour it directly on top of the cookie crumbs. Give the mold a good jiggle to settle the chocolate, tapping to remove any air bubbles, and if you like, you can use your spatula to smooth off the surface even more. And to make the peanut butter eggs, instead of piping anything, all we have to do is just pour the peanut butter mixture in. And at first, I used a plastic food-safe glove to kind of press the peanut butter filling down, and that was a big hot mess. So don't do that. Just use, actually the back of a spoon worked really well, and that'll help compact the peanut butter filling a little bit more. Just don't press too hard so that you break the chocolate, but you do want to leave a nice clean gap to backfill and close the chocolate egg. Once all the chocolate has firmed up, all you have to do is peel the silicone off and it comes out really easy. And for the sparkly effect, I just use some edible luster dust on top of the chocolate. All right, let's do a taste test. So let's start with the peanut butter egg first. I mean, I already know this tastes good because I was totally eating it while I was making it. But see, you can kind of see that has a crunchy peanut butter filling. It's like a Rice Krispie treat on steroids. Okay, caramel egg. Oh, this one cuts so nicely. Oozy caramel. Can you see that? Let's see the caramel kind of oozing out. Oh my gosh. And then we got the Biscoff on the bottom. That is an insane pairing. I was kind of debating about the Biscoff, and I was gonna run to the store to get shortbread crackers, you know, the Walker ones. The Biscoff one is totally worth trying though, because it has those spices and the salty caramel. Oh, just, yeah, totally tasty. Time of year. Ugh. So it's that time of year when I think in chocolate and caramel.